slide, what is mixed methods research, I assume. So I was going through the definitions and pointing out that in the yellow, I highlighted the key ideas of mixed methods research. And I want to take that a few steps further. So here are the key components in a good mixed methods study. I think you start with questions and data, and you bring the two databases together in a design, and you draw insight from that. So a visual picture of this is we need both qualitative and quantitative data in mixed methods. And we're going to combine these two databases. I used the picture here of two hands. In South Africa, a leading professor said to me, Professor Creswell, mixed methods is really two hands coming together, the quantitative and qualitative. And now we're going to put this integration into a specific set of procedures, a mixed methods design. And then from this design and the integration, we then can draw some insights, which are called meta-inferences, about what we learned from integrating the two databases. So I'm starting to introduce some of the language here of mixed methods research, which is very important. Every research approach has a language. Mixed methods, we talk about the integration of the data. We talk about the procedures in a design. And we talk about drawing insight from these procedures across the databases called meta-inferences. So I'll keep reinforcing these ideas as I proceed ahead. So I created this visual, and really I'm beginning to think that mixed methods at its core really involves the concept of integrating two databases. You know, prior to the 1980s, when I first started working in this area, people kept the two databases separate. They were collecting both quantitative and qualitative, but they were not really putting the two databases together in any type of a systematic way. So I think at the core of mixed methods is understanding this idea of the integration of data. So we bring our data in and we integrate it. We then use our procedures for integration, and we draw new insights from this integration. In other words, it's important to learn from quantitative and qualitative research, but then when we begin combining the two sets of data, we get additional information. So, you know, really what we're going to be doing is bringing these two databases together in this concept called integration. You know, when we do a study and we collect both quantitative and qualitative data, from the quantitative data, we get important results. We can generalize to the population, come up with confidence intervals, measure the magnitude of the differences among the variables or among the groups. When we do a qualitative study, we come up with very important results too. Understanding the views and experiences of participants, understanding those views within a particular setting where they're living, working, where the problem occurs. And we try to explore one key concept called a central phenomenon in more detail. So we come up with very good quantitative and qualitative results. When we bring in mixed methods, it links these two, and it gives us more insight than what we learned quantitatively or qualitatively. And that, I think, that integration and being able to draw that insight from the integration of the two databases is really a major advantage of doing mixed methods research. So when we think about mixed methods as a way of doing research, as a methodology, there are some distinct advantages of using it. It means that when we do a study, we need to collect both quantitative and qualitative data. And I'm going to go into those two forms of data here in a moment. By bringing the two databases together, we're actually doing more detailed analysis on the databases than just the quantitative and the qualitative analysis. We're mining the data further to gain our insights. And I think the problems that we're addressing today are so complex that we do need both quantitative and qualitative data to understand the pandemic. We need to know the rate of vaccinations, but we also need to talk to people and get their stories and perceptions about why some may not be willing to get vaccinated. So bringing qualitative and quantitative to so many of our pressing problems today is important. I think another reason to use mixed methods research and why it's important is it is really being seen, I believe, as the most recent research methodology, which means that if a graduate student uses mixed methods, they're using a very current, up-to-date methodology for their project. That helps get funding, it helps get publications, and I think what has made mixed methods different than the development of other methodologies is that mixed methods has expanded and grown during this internet period that we're in, where now we can share information widely to many people around the world through the internet, through webinars, through Facebooks, messages, through email. Other methodologies did not grow up in such an internet-rich environment that can continue to encourage the use of this methodology. And for some quantitative researchers, and many of the countries in Asia that I work with are more strongly quantitatively oriented than qualitatively. The quantitative researchers see the need to understand the human behavior, the perceptions, the voices of people to be added to quantitative. These are just some of the reasons why I think mixed methods has grown and developed around the world. Okay, so that's kind of a brief introduction to mixed methods research. And now I want to go into 11 steps in designing a good mixed methods project. And here are the 11 steps I'm going to go through one by one, and I'm going to give you illustrations of each. First, determine mixed methods is an appropriate. This is a good methodology to use. Indicate your worldview. Draft a good mixed methods title. Identify the problem and what type of a problem leads to a mixed methods project. I'll go through that. State quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods questions. List your two databases to be collected. Identify your design. Draw a picture or a diagram of your design. Identify steps in your mixed methods data analysis, integration, joint display, and meta inferences. At Michigan, for step 9, mixed methods data analysis, we've been pushing our thinking. And so I hope to share with you some of the latest thinking on mixed methods data analysis. Consider a conceptual framework or theory for your study. And finally, detail the validity challenges in your design. Now, I'm going to talk about this, as if you've come into my office and you say, Professor Creswell, I would like to do a mixed methods study. Well, I've worked with so many people on their projects. I have some steps in mind, these 11 steps that I would take you through to give you some advice and encourage you to develop parts of your mixed methods project. So this is going to be a very applied discussion of the steps in conducting a mixed methods study. I'm going to start with really the first question I need to ask you, and that is mixed methods an appropriate methodology or approach for your study? And I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on this step one. I'm going to talk in terms of your research problem or question, your skills, your knowledge of mixed methods research and research in general, your familiarity with mixed methods, understanding the terms, mixed methods terms, and the support that you have. Is it best to do mixed methods research in terms of your data? One of the questions I would ask you, do you have an opportunity to collect both quantitative and qualitative data? Some people refer to this as numbered data and stories, or numeric data and text. I'm going to talk in terms of open-ended versus closed-ended data, but do you have an opportunity to collect both forms of data? And then also, will your collection of both forms of data lead to a better understanding of your research problem? Or gathering the quantitative data alone, administering an instrument, getting the scores, that would give you good understanding. Or maybe you want to do a qualitative study where you just need to explore. But you need both, those personal perspectives as well as numeric analyses and scores. I think that would lead to mixed methods research. Then I'd ask you a little bit about your skills. Now, mixed methods does take what I call a big toolkit of skills. Quantitative skills, knowing how to collect and analyze quantitative data, and qualitative skills too, collecting both qualitative data and analyzing it. Well, and then your mixed method skills. Have you been reading articles? Have you been reading books? Certainly to be a good researcher, you need good writing skills. And I think people that are conducting research need the skills in being able to receive feedback from others that would help them develop further. Now, in any one researcher, there may not be all of these skills. And often people in mixed methods team